Alright guys, welcome back to Logical Thinking. As the title suggested, can you still buy a vehicle in 2023 for under $1,000? And the answer to that is yes, you can. Now, it's a lot more complicated than it was a few years ago. A few years ago, I made the same video, and it was plenty of cars out there, plenty of vehicles out there for under $1,000. You just had to look and find. Now, everything's cars that should have been $500 are going for $15,000, $2,000. At least in my area of Florida, that's how it is. So for the last few weeks, I've been looking over the marketplaces and trying to find a vehicle that I could use as a toy car, you know, something I could get dirty and mess up and not really care about. And everything I was seeing was listed at $2 grand, and I was just thinking, why would I pay that? And then I'm still gonna have to put hundreds and hundreds of dollars into a vehicle. I'd rather get a really cheap car, still put some money into it, and know it's reliable because I worked on it. So today I'm showing you guys a 2004 Ford Expedition XLT with 4x4 and the 5.4 liter V8. It's a pretty good condition car. The outside it looks pretty good. The problem with the car is that it is an up north vehicle, so it does have rust, and I'm in Florida. We don't really get rust cars, so I'm gonna try to attack the rust, not in this video, and try to, you know, fix some of it, but honestly, some of it is just a little bit past due. So keep in mind, when you're looking for a car for under $1,000, even back then, you know, you're not gonna get a perfect car. If that's your intentions, then I recommend that you take that $1,000 and you put a down payment on another car, and you go to a dealership and try your luck there. But to me, $1,000 down on a car, and it's the same risk. You're taking the same risk, plus you're paying interest and a lot more for a vehicle. So I'm going to be showing you this car. The interior looks pretty good. It's pretty well maintained. It's not detailed, it's dirty, so you're going to see it right now dirty with no detail. Later on I'll detail it and show a video, and it still looks clean for it not being detailed. There is a tire off the vehicle because I have worked on the vehicle. When I found the vehicle on Facebook Marketplace, I contacted the seller. He had it listed for $1,200. So the first thing I do is I go on Marketplace and I type in my price range, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. I know my intentions are to pay less, but I still look at vehicles like that because of how high cars are valued right now, that a $500 car is $1,000 or $1,500 car right now. So I look at them like that, and I'll probably message about 15 to 20 people. So don't get your heart set on one car. I message about 15-20 people, and I'll make offers. Some 800, some 900, some 1,000, some 11, depending on the vehicle. I've been trying to keep it under 1,000. So when I found this one posted for 12, it was listed as a running and driving vehicle, but the brake lines were leaking, so you weren't able to drive it out of there. I offered him $900, and I told him I'm gonna repair it right then and there. And the seller was like, okay, that's fine. He accepted my $900 without me seeing it. I get to the vehicle, and I went to the junkyard. I pulled out the brake line that runs from the front all the way to the rear, and I showed up with it. When I got there, I found out that not only was that one leaking, but the other side, another line was leaking, and it was the line from the master cylinder to the driver brake caliper. And so I had to run back. That one was leaking worse than the other one, so I had to run back to a junkyard to grab that line, put that line in. And also, when I turned on the vehicle, it had a clunking noise, so I was hesitant. I was like, probably a spun bearing, but I was willing to take a chance, because it didn't really sound like a spun bearing. It did and it didn't. I couldn't really explain. I wish I would have recorded it. So I was pretty confident in the vehicle. Those motors are pretty strong, known for people driving them with no oil. So I didn't think it was a spun bearing. I felt like maybe it was one of the pulleys. I offered the seller $800. I was like, hey, listen, man, you didn't say anything about the engine making noise, anything like that. I tried going down to $7, and he was like, nah, you know, I got plenty of people lined up. And honestly, I believed him, because the vehicle in this condition, stating as a running and driving vehicle for $1,200, and him as a seller being able to negotiate down, I'm pretty sure some people offered him less too, and he was accepting it just like he was accepting it with me. So I'm pretty sure more people were coming to see it. I was the first one. The vehicle was posted for one night. I showed up the next morning. So he said, if you could do 800, I'll take it. So I was like, okay. I did the 800 and I took the chance. As soon as I got home, I pulled off the belt and started the engine, and sure enough, the clunking noise was gone. So I checked all the pulleys, found the bad pulley, and which was actually this one right here, outer lip pulley, 90 millimeter, and had a lot of play in it. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it had a lot of play in it and it was bouncing around. Also, the power steering pump is bad. So like I said, when you're looking for a car for under $1,000, you can't expect it to be perfect. You're gonna have to expect to put a little bit of money into it and a little bit of work into it. So right now I'm gonna show you the vehicle. So this is it right here. Like I said, I've been doing some work to it off camera. So there is a wheel missing. I was doing the brake lines, running the brake lines, checking them all again. I'm gonna bleed them, put the new pulley on, and actually give it a drive this time, fill up the tank, put some injector cleaner, clean out the throttle body because it was very gunked up. So for the most part, the body's in pretty good condition, besides fading paint. And some rust on the trunk and one dent. So I have rust here. I'm gonna fix that up, remove all this, fix that up, and a dent down there. The biggest problem with this car is it's an up north vehicle, so it has extreme undercarriage rust. You can see right there, look at all that rust in there. And this stuff. Somebody attempted to repair this and did a horrible job. So I'm gonna be removing this, removing all this stuff, and probably fixing this with fiberglass. At least try to get the shape back with fiberglass. This was horrible. It's like this on both sides. And I'm gonna try to scrape off as much of this rust from the frame, as much as I can from the frame, and then treat it with a rust treatment and spray it. So this is the interior. The interior is in pretty nice condition for a car that's 19 years old and not detailed. Remember, that's something I was stating, that this vehicle is not detailed. You detail it, it's gonna be 10 times cleaner. And there's parts in here because I started removing things. It actually has third row seats, but I put them down because I started putting parts in here. No sagging in the headliner. One bad window. Sunroof works. AC does work, but the flap is stuck right now. So it's in between heater and AC. It's stuck in the middle. So you can feel cold air and you can feel hot air at the same time. This vehicle has 217,000 miles. So mind you, again, can't expect it to be perfect, and you shouldn't expect low mileage vehicle. Sometimes you get lucky. I found vehicles with 120,000 miles, and sometimes you get lucky, but you shouldn't set your expectations too high for if you're looking for a car for under 1,000. If it's running and driving, that's a big plus right there. The codes I had, so obviously I've been working under here. I pulled out the intake, and I had one code driving it here about 20 minutes away. I ended up, because obviously it was dead, it had a bad battery. So it wasn't, the codes got erased from sitting for too long. But the codes came back. One code came back, and it was P0357, which is a short circuit and a misfire code. And from what I've learned is, it's also on cylinder 7. From what I learned is, sometimes if you get that code, the engine is toast. So I was a little worried, but then I also did some more research, and they said sometimes the connections on the coil pack go out. So when I pulled all this off, I checked the coil pack. And coil pack number 7, cylinder number 7, has a broken clip that it wasn't pushed in all the way. It was like halfway on. So I just slid it all the way on. And after I do put all this back together, bleed the brakes, I'm gonna do an oil change and add the fuel cleaner, the fuel injector cleaners, and clean out this throttle body, because this throttle body is gunked up. Yeah, clean it as much as I can. I don't know if we can see in there really well, probably not, but it's gunky. Get that belt put back on there. The power steering pump is still bad. I'm not going to replace that just yet, and then I'll see how she rides, see if that code's still there. Next thing I'll do, if that doesn't work, is I'll actually replace the spark plug in the coil pack. So not only does it have the rust, but also something that should be expected from any car that's cheap. It needs brakes and rotors all the way around. These rotors are bad. The brake pads actually look good, but you're gonna switch those brake pads anyways. Front rotors, bad. So before I go too much into doing that kind of stuff, I just need to make sure that it's 100% running and driving good. I did, like I said, I did drive it here, and I did have that loose coil pack, so it did give me a rough ride. But when it was idling fine. It was purring fine. Didn't seem like it had any serious problems. So again, back to the title. If you're looking for a vehicle for under $1,000, like I said, I recommend that you go on Marketplace. I specifically like Facebook Marketplace. All right, let's see if the camera can get a good view. I go on the Marketplace, I go to categories, I go to vehicles, and if you're looking for anything, just put any, go on to filters, and then price. Now we don't want to put 0 as a price, because then you get all these dealers putting on $199 down. So I always like to go like 300, 400, 500, and then your max, let's put 1,300. Most people will negotiate a couple $100. So you see these cars right now, like right here we got a 01 Acura, 1,200, 200k miles. 02 Camry, 1,300. In my case, I was looking for a SUV or a pickup, and something like this little Jeep Liberty. I'd click on this, I'd look through it, I'd read it. It's in Spanish. All right, the engine started mixing oil with coolant. That's why the price. So he has a blown engine, blown head gasket more than likely, and he wants $1,100 for that. To me, that's ridiculous. You call it, you call a junkyard, or the people that remove junk cars, they're gonna offer you $300-400 for it. More, probably not even 400, $300. So him wanting $1,100 for that makes no sense to me. I wouldn't even offer nothing for that, because it has a blown engine. If he'd take $300 for it, I'd do it, because then I'd just find an engine for it. I'd give him junkyard price for that. Okay, look at this, an Expedition, 250,000 miles, more miles than I have, but for sale, $1,250, or best offer. Not in bad shape. AC blows out of defrost and roof, not sure why. The flap is bad. Drive strong, great for a work truck. Paint's in okay, solid, sold as is. Driven by a little old lady. Front end squeaks, maybe new shocks. Tires in good shape. So okay, you see right there, this is a vehicle that's running and driving. They didn't send no interior pictures, so they didn't put no interior pictures, so it's probably ugly interior, but it's running and driving. So you see, even a vehicle like this, I would offer them $800-900, and maybe I would go down depending on what I see when I get there, and after talking to them, getting a vibe for them, and seeing if maybe I feel like I can come down a little bit more. A few years ago, I would have offered $500-600 for this, but right now, that's another Expedition that you can get for under $1,000, even though it's posted for $12. And like I said, when you see this car, you shouldn't expect it to be in perfect condition. You should expect it to still need some work, brakes and rotors, and obviously you're gonna do an oil change, filter change, maybe even a fuel filter change. I don't recommend doing the transmission flush, because these cars are so old. if anything, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this and they're probably going to criticize this, but maybe if anything, just drop the pan, take your old transmission fluid, replace the filter, and put the old transmission fluid back in there. And that's controversial. Some people like to change it, some people don't. My experience has always been, if you have a high mileage vehicle like this and you change the transmission fluid on it, that transmission is not going to ride the same. It's going to be toast. But I guess some people get lucky. But yeah, guys, so if you just do that about 20 times, I know it sounds like a lot, but somebody out there is going to be willing to negotiate on the price. And like I said, don't get stuck on one vehicle. You should look at multiple vehicles and decide which one is your best option. And also maybe think about how much it's going to cost to fix every little thing that's going to be wrong with it. And then also decide whether, okay, if it's $1,000 in parts and I'm paying $800 for it, that's $1,800. For $1,800, I think I can get it riding to my standards, or I can try to find something else for $1,800. If you have the $1,800 all on you right then and there. But then again, you go look at $1,800 cars and decide whether if it's riding already to your standard, or are you gonna have to put money into it? And now your $1,800 car just turned into a $2,600 car. So those are all the things you got to think about. But yes, it is still possible to find a car for under $1,000, and you just have to try and give it a try. This is great vehicles for, you know, for somebody's first vehicle, great vehicle for somebody to, you know, use as a toy, you know, haul things around. I can tow with it, dump things. I can put my old bad tires in there and get rid of them. You know, move furniture around, pick up big stuff from the stores. Right now I only have my Jaguars and my Audi TT, and none of those are gonna hold anything big. And I don't like using my bus to do things because it would turn into an expensive thing if that thing ever broke down on the side of the road and I had to call a tow truck, which can't just be any tow truck, it has to be a semi tow truck to pull my bus. But yeah, so today I'm gonna do some more work on it, on this Expedition, get it up and running, and I'll let you guys know how I feel it's going, and we'll keep track of the progress on this vehicle. I think this is going to be a good project. I like this. I'm going to try to do my best on making it look good, but as far as that rust, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do too much from it, so don't expect too much from it. It's an $800 car. All right, guys, so thank you for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I got plenty of projects and plenty of content coming. Thank you.